And we're pleased to be joined by Jason Gildon, former all-time Steelers sack leader. That doesn't have the same ring to it, though, does it? Were you mad James beat you, knocked you off on that?
No, not really. It was one of those deals to where I told people it was a privilege to hold it. It's not really a record that belongs to me personally. It's more of a team record, organization record. So I was happy to have it, and I think anyone on that list should be just happy to be on it.
Now, Jason, if I remember correctly, when you came out, you were a third-round draft pick?
Yes.
Okay. If you the way the game has changed now, the way that teams play defensive football, and they value those edge rushers, they value the lighter guys because that's what's coming out of college now. If you were coming out of college today, you think you go a lot higher than what you did?
I think so. I think, just like you mentioned, the game has definitely changed. They're putting more emphasis on edge rushers, guys who can get after the quarterback. When I was drafted, it hadn't quite evolved to that point
yet. The
yet.
Steelers were one of the few teams that played to 3-4 at that time.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's been tried and true for us here. And I think we've done a good job of getting guys who can come in and add that element to the defense. So, looking back, even though I was happy to go where I did go in the third round and become a Steeler, I think, definitely just the way the defense has evolved and the emphasis they put on getting after the quarterback is definitely higher now than it was so much then.
Yeah, Dale actually stole my question. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. But, back when you were drafted, you were fortunate because you went to the ideal scheme for your great skill set. And,
right.
We saw the sacks that resulted in it. But, man, the Steelers had such an advantage at that point because there was only a couple teams running true 3-4s and, all the Porter and Hagans and all these guys like yourself that they got in the mid-rounds. I absolutely think all of you guys would have been first-round picks.
Yeah.
It's just the way the world works now. It's so different.
It really is. And, being a defensive guy, I'm always going to be partial to the defense, but it is an offensive league. And we have to do everything we can to just be able to keep up with those guys because offense is one of the things that it evolves almost, not by season but by week. And, you look at it from, just the college standpoint from I remember the offense coordinator at Pitt who made his name with the little shuffle pass there. And then, it trickled right up into the NFL. And now they're doing, the RPOs and offense is just constantly evolving. And defensively, we have to find a way just to keep up. And I think pressure is one of those things that always translates into success on defense, getting after the quarterback.
One thing we were just talking about Bud and TJ a lot lately, and they pretty much led the league in dropping into coverage.
Mm-hmm.
They were getting interior pressure last year. I'm just curious. If out of 10 snaps or 100 snaps, how often would you drop back in your day? Very little, right?
I think it was maybe 50-50, 60-40. Yeah. The thing about our scheme is you definitely have to make it look the same from a standpoint. You can't really show your hand. It's real. It's one of those things to where if they know you're coming, it takes away the element of the surprise. But you also have to have guys who can hold their own in coverage because now you let those guys like Tuitt and Hayward really go to work inside. And so if you can get the pressure inside and outside, I think now you're on to something. And unfortunately, those guys did have to drop back as much as they did last year. But hopefully, that translated into more success for the guys up front.
Yeah, and we've seen that especially over the years with teams attacking your 3-4 defense. Mm-hmm. If you recall, and I'm sure you do, the start of the 2002 season, you guys play New England and Oakland back-to-back, and they throw the ball about 7,000 times against you consecutively. Don't even try to run the football.
No runs. I remember that game in New England, and I'm thinking I had like maybe 12 to 15 tackles, and I'm thinking that's pretty high for me considering who we were playing, and they were all pass, tackles on pass plays and not necessarily run plays. But, they have to do that because, we built our success on really getting after the quarterback.
You just couldn't run against you guys either.
No. It was one of those deals, you know. I think we took a lot of pride in ourselves on first and second down, because we knew if we can go out on first and second down and hold those guys to 3 yards, then it's 3rd and 7, and, you know, here we go. And I think that was one of the things that, you know, we look forward to 3rd down, but we took a lot of pride in first and second down.
Now the way the game has evolved and changed, that we talked about, but do you have a favorite memory of your time playing? Was there one memory that stands out to you that you like? Yeah, I mean, you were there for the opening of Heinz Field, that first playoff game. We had Alan Faneck on last week, and he talked about that because you guys went a few years when you guys first came in without making the playoffs, and then that first game at Heinz Field, he said, was really special.
It's kind of strange because I think, you know, my career was I had a lot of memorable moments, but I think one that really stands out was actually the closing of Three Rivers Field, the last game there, and just to see not only support from the fans but from the alumni and see all those guys come back. And I think just looking back at that moment, it was a closing of one you know, iconic field there in Three Rivers, and the beginning, you know, of opening Heinz Field, and just to see the culmination of the old and the new and all success that, you know, they had seen throughout the years there at Three Rivers Field.
And you guys are starting to turn it around now, because you had the back-to-back subpar seasons, but then in 2000 you go 9-7, had a chance to get into the playoffs. You guys go out to San Diego and win. Need some help, and it didn't happen. But it kind of gave you the springboard for that next season, for that opening season at Heinz Field.
I think we did a phenomenal job there, taking that success of 9-7, really rolling it over to the next season and getting on a run there. And you know, those are the things, you know, just being part of this organization that I can definitely remember. How the guys, you know, we took it personal those 2 lean years. This was 7-9, 6-10, and we knew we were better than the numbers indicated. You know, the win-loss records, and it was just the little things. And you know, so much in this game is the small things, and once you get those things ironed out, you really get to, you know, concentrate on the things that's going to, you know, really translate to wins and losses.
I'm sure coming to St. Vincent's is very nostalgic for you. You know, I mean, for all the old players that came back, and there's been so many great players who played here, and the tradition, and the defensive tradition, and the linebacker tradition, the edge protection, or the edge pass rushing tradition. And I'm curious, you know, there were so many greats before and after you. Was there one in particular that you really looked up to? It took you under your wing or under their wing, and then was there somebody that you kind of passed that on to?
You know, like I said, I count myself very fortunate to be a part of still a history when it comes to linebackers. And when I got here, I had the opportunity to play with some great guys, not only great linebackers, and you know, Levon Kirkland, Kevin Green, and Greg Lloyd. I think those 3 guys were the guys who really helped me become the player that I was able to become here with the Pittsburgh Steelers, because, you know, looking up to those guys, you saw how they worked on the field, you saw how they worked off the field, and it was almost like, you know, when you got your opportunity, you weren't really necessarily afraid of what the coaches were going to say if you messed up, or, you know, what the coordinator was going to say. You didn't want to let those guys down, because, you know, you saw what they put into it, and you didn't really want to go out there and let those guys down, because, you know, they took a lot of pride in what they did, and they would let you know. You know, they would definitely let you know that, you know, to be out here with us, it takes a certain, you know, type of individual, and if you weren't living up to it, you know, there was no room for you out there for them. So
did you pass that down to one behind you?
You know, I got to play with the you know, when they brought in Joey here.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
You know, he was a young guy, and I was got to take him under my wing and show him the ropes. And I believe, you know, those are the things that carry over and build traditions at positions, and we were able to do that from the Kevin, Greg, Levon, to me, to Joey, to Clark, to James.
Yeah, right.
you know, and a lot of people don't know James was here for a while and he couldn't play, and
you and Joey pulled him aside, didn't you? And said, "Hey, man, you can play in this league, but you got to start listening a little bit."
He had to change some things about the way he carried himself, and it was never about talent. Mm-hmm. It was more about opportunity, and just a lot of his trust. Going into playing at this level, Coach has a trust that when he puts you out there, A, you know what to do, and B, you're going to do it. Yeah.
And you just mentioned them. There's some pretty good guys ahead of you on the depth chart in that position over the last 25, 30 years or whatever.
Definitely. And it's been one of those things, and I think, it really carries over to success defensively because Joel Steve was nose guard when I got here. Then they passed that on to Casey Hampton. And then after that, you have, the Cam Haywards and the Stephon Tuitt's. But that's all I knew was those guys. And they were two different guys. They played the position totally different. But they got the job done. And, when you can get guys like that in here and play that position for a while, and then get another guy in and you really don't skip a beat, and he can play that position for a while. It takes a lot of, takes away from a lot of the guesswork of, who we're going to get in here to do this and do that, and is he going to be able to do this and that. And so, looking back, those are one of the things that, defensively we had going for us.
It's funny you bring that up because, I'm 45 years old and there's been 3 coaches in my lifetime and basically like 4 centers.
Right.
But you didn't think about the nose tackle position. Yeah. That's a long stretch with Steed and Hampton to really anchor that defense.
Yeah. And, a lot of teams can't say that.
No.
That they've had guys who've come in and played one position and then had another guy come in and play that same position, same level of play, and not really miss a beat. And I think that's one of the things that we've had here to keep us successful defensively because, you take the guesswork out of it. You don't have to really go out there and wonder what you're getting from season to season.
Well, he is Jason Gildon. Jason, we appreciate you coming on here on SNR with us, live from Steelers training camp. I'm Dale Lolley. He's Matt Williamson. And we're going to take a break here, but that was Jason Gildon. Appreciate you coming on, Jason. And the rain has stopped down. Maybe they will have a practice out here today.
Maybe. It usually starts when it's nap time and it stops when it's time to come on the field. So that's how it usually goes.
Yeah, funny how that works.